I want you to just think back for a second. The last time you had to buy a car, or really any big purchase where the numbers kind of make your stomach churn.
Hmm.
You walk onto the lot, or maybe you just open a new tab on your browser. What's that immediate feeling you get?
For most people, it's a tightening in the chest, a defensiveness.
Right. It's not this burst of excitement. It's more like you're putting your armor on. And it turns out we're not just being dramatic. We've got the KPA 2024 Dealership Trust Survey here. And the numbers, they paint a pretty grim picture.
Grim is absolutely the right word. The data shows that 76% of Americans just do not trust car dealerships to be honest about pricing.
76%.
And even worse, 86%, that's almost 9 out of 10 people, are already on guard for hidden fees before a salesperson even says hello.
That is just a staggering trust deficit. I mean, imagine if 9 out of 10 people walked into a restaurant assuming the chef was going to poison them. You wouldn't have a business.
But we still buy cars. We just do it under, well, extreme duress. And that's really what we're unpacking today. Buying a vehicle is a high-anxiety event. The average price is now north of $50,000.
$50,000.
And monthly payments are often over $750. So for a family, getting this decision wrong can have consequences for 5, 6, 7 years.
And that anxiety is the real core of this deep dive. We've got a pile of research here from Deloitte, behavioral economics papers, case studies, and the mission today is to completely reframe how we think about trust. Because it's usually such a soft word.
Yeah, it sounds like a slogan on a poster.
Exactly. Customer service, being polite.
We need to just throw that definition out. Today, we're not talking about trust as a warm, fuzzy feeling. We're analyzing trust as a hard economic asset. It's a biological necessity.
It's the ultimate currency.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the biology of why high-stakes shopping actually impairs your brain and why warmth might matter more than competence in closing a deal.
Just a fascinating place where our biology meets our bank account.
Okay, so let's start right there with the biology. Because you mentioned that feeling of duress. It turns out that pit in your stomach, it's not just nerves. There's a chemical war going on inside your brain.
That's exactly right. To really get why trust is so critical, you have to understand the neuroscience of no. When a customer feels any pressure or just senses a lack of transparency, the brain reads that as a threat.
A literal physical threat.
Yes. And it floods the system with cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Correct. And cortisol triggers that fight or flight response. Now, a few thousand years ago, that was great for running from a predator. But in a dealership showroom, you can't really run. So it just shows up as suspicion, withdrawal, and this is the key impaired cognitive function.
Wait, hold on there. Are you saying that when I'm stressed by a salesperson, I actually lose the ability to think straight?
You physically cannot process complex financial information as effectively. Your working memory shrinks. You get tunnel vision. Your brain literally loses the bandwidth it needs to analyze interest rates or add-ons.
So when a salesperson uses high-pressure tactics or does that classic move of leaving you in a little room for 20 minutes to talk to their manager,
They are chemically inducing their customer to shut down. They're triggering what's called decision paralysis. Often when a customer says, I need to think about it, they're not rejecting the car. They're rejecting the cortisol. They're fleeing the threat.
So the solution isn't a better script, it's a different chemical entirely.
Precisely. The goal in a high-stakes sale shouldn't be to dominate. It should be to trigger the release of oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
In this context, think of it more as the safety hormone. When oxytocin is flowing, our guard comes down. We feel safe enough to share what we're really worried about or what our real budget is.
And you can't have that conversation if the customer feels like they're in a fight. This connects directly to a huge concept in our research today, loss aversion. This is from Kahneman and Chorosky, right? The godfathers of this whole field.
Prospect theory,
Yeah.
It's absolutely foundational.
So for anyone listening who, hasn't looked at their Psych 101 textbook in a while, the basic idea is that we feel the pain of a loss way more than the joy of a gain.
The ratio is usually cited as about 2.25 to 1.
Okay, so let's make that real. If I find $100 on the street, I feel pretty good. But if I lose $100 out of my wallet,
You feel more than twice as bad. The negative feeling is just so much heavier. So apply that to buying a car. Customers aren't walking in thinking about the win. The new features, the smell of the leather, they are terrified of the loss.
The fear of buying a lemon, the fear of overpaying and feeling like a fool, the fear that some hidden fee is going to pop up later.
That fear is the single biggest emotion driving their behavior. They are in a state of constant risk mitigation.
So in that context, trust isn't about liking the salesperson. Trust is, it's like an insurance policy against that feeling of loss.
Precisely. And that's why we see data showing 48% of consumers would buy from a dealer they trust, even if the prices were a bit higher.
See, I have to push back on that a little. Is that really true? In this economy, are people really willing to pay more just for a feeling? Or is that just what sounds good to say in a survey?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
But the behavioral data really does support it. People aren't paying a premium for a smile. They're paying a premium to lower their cortisol. They are paying to remove the risk of that 2.25x pain of loss. So paying an extra $500 to know you're not getting a bad car or a hidden fee, that's a very rational trade-off for your brain.
It's so interesting because traditional economics just assumes we're all rational robots hunting for the lowest price. But this says no. We're emotional creatures just trying to find the path of least stress.
We prioritize psychological safety over perfect optimization. And that leads us perfectly into our next point, which is about why our brains are so lazy. Or maybe the better word is efficient. The cognitive miser.
I love this concept. It makes me feel so much better about my desire to avoid doing math.
It should make us all feel better. The theory is simply that our brains have a limited amount of processing power, of working memory. So we're always, subconsciously looking for ways to save mental energy.
That makes sense. I mean, if you had to analyze every single variable for every decision all day, you'd be exhausted by breakfast.
You'd never leave the house.
Yeah.
But now think about the traditional car buying process. It's a cognitive minefield. First, you pick the car. Then you negotiate the price. Then you negotiate the trade-in. Then you get sent to the finance office. Then they show you a menu with 20 different add-ons.
Ugh, my head hurts just listening to that list. It really does feel like they're trying to wear you down.
It's cognitive overload, and it seems almost intentional. And when that load gets too high, your brain just short circuits. It either makes a bad, irrational decision just to make it stop, or it walks away entirely.
Which brings us to Herbert Simon. He actually won a Nobel Prize for this next idea. Satisficing.
Yes. Satisficing. It's a blend of the words satisfy and suffice. And Simon's point was that because finding the absolute 100% perfect deal is so mentally exhausting, humans don't actually do it. We don't optimize. We satisfice.
We just look for an option that's good enough, one that gets the job done without draining our entire mental battery for the week.
Exactly. And this is where trust becomes a heuristic, a mental shortcut.
Okay, break that down. How exactly is trust a shortcut?
Well, if I trust you, I don't have to double-check all your work. I don't have to read every single line of the contract with a magnifying glass. I don't have to Google every claim you make about the engine. Trust allows me to believe you have my best interest at heart so I can stop searching. It lets me bypass all that slow, analytical system 2 thinking and just use my gut, my system 1.
It's like my coffee shop. I don't run a full economic analysis on the price of coffee beans every morning. I just trust the shop isn't ripping me off, so I tap my card and move on. The trust deletes the math.
And when you're talking about a $50,000 decision, deleting the math, or at least the fear and anxiety around the math, that is an incredibly valuable service.
Okay, so we've established trust is biologically crucial and cognitively efficient. But here's the big problem. Every business says, trust me. Every billboard, every ad. But clearly, given that 76% distrust number we started with, it's not working. So how do you actually build it?
This is where it gets really counterintuitive. Most companies think you build trust by proving how competent you are, how good you are at your job. But the research points to something called the warmth competence paradox.
And this comes from Amy Cuddy's work, cited by the Kellogg School of Management.
Correct. We judge people on 2 main pillars, warmth and competence.
So competence is pretty straightforward. Are you good at this? Do you know your stuff? Can you get the job done?
Right. And warmth is all about intent. Do you have my best interest at heart? Are you a good person?
Okay, now my business owner brain immediately thinks competence is everything. I want to hire the best, most skilled people. I put awards on the wall to show how good we are. But the research says...
The research says that warmth accounts for 80% of a first impression.
80%? That seems, I don't know, incredibly high.
It does, but think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Before I care if you're smart enough to help me, I need to know if you're a friend or a foe. I need to know if you're going to help me or hurt me. We evaluate intent before we evaluate ability.
But dealerships and probably most sales environments have that completely backward.
Completely backward. You walk in a showroom, what do you see? Trophies for Salesman of the Month, giant, intimidating buildings, salespeople throwing technical specs at you. It's all competence signaling.
It's like they're trying to impress you into submission.
Exactly. But here's the danger. If you project high competence, but I don't feel any warmth from you, your competence actually becomes a threat.
Because now you're just a really smart shark.
A very smart shark who is really, really good at taking my money. Competence without warmth doesn't build trust. It breeds suspicion.
There was a great study by Garbarino and Lee on this. They called it competence trust versus benevolence trust.
Yes, and it's so important for any business with variable pricing. They found that when pricing is inconsistent, I get one price, you get another for the exact same thing. Benevolence trust completely collapses. Even if the service is perfect, the moment I think you're not treating me fairly, I'm gone.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do we operationalize this? Be warmer sounds great, but how do you actually build a business around it?
You start by killing the script.
Ugh, the dreaded sales script. So if I could show you a way to get this into your budget today, would you be ready to drive it home?
It just makes your skin crawl, doesn't it?
Instantly, my defenses go right up.
And there's a biological reason for that. One of our sources talks about how humans are just wired to detect inauthenticity. We can hear it in someone's tone, see it in their eyes. A script feels like a trap, so it triggers our social defense mechanisms.
You feel like you're talking to a robot, not a person.
And the data on this is clear. Authentic, unscripted interactions make customers 3.5 times more likely to come back. You just can't build that oxytocin bond if you're reading lines from a page.
This also gets into the very structure of the sale. We're seeing more places adopt a one-person, one-price model.
Yes, and that is the operational fix for cognitive load. With that model, you deal with one single person from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave. They help you find the car, they do the trade-in, they handle the paperwork.
No more being passed off to the closer or the finance guy in the back room.
Exactly. Every time you hand off a customer, their cortisol spikes again. They have to reevaluate the threat. Keeping it to one person with one clear price, it just removes so much of that mental friction.
It stops being a battle and starts being a simple transaction.
It removes the adversarial element.
Transparency is obviously a huge piece of this, too. Jupiter Chevrolet was a good example in the notes. They just started putting no hidden fees everywhere and making sure their online price was the real price.
And the result was that mentions of no hidden fees in their customer reviews tripled. But there's another layer to this now, especially with younger buyers. It's not just transparency, it's verification.
Trust but verify. It's not enough to just say it, you have to prove it.
Trust isn't blind anymore. It has to be verified. We're seeing this with tools like True Video in service departments. The mechanic sends a video of your car's inspection right to your phone, showing you the worn-out part.
That's genius. Because if you just tell me I need a new air filter, I'm thinking, okay, sure you do. But if you show me a video of my filthy filter next to a clean one...
You're reaching for your wallet. And for Gen Z, this kind of proof is non-negotiable. They grew up online. They expect to be able to verify every claim you make instantly. If you hide information, they don't just get suspicious. They leave.
So transparency isn't just a nice-to-have. It's an actual business strategy.
Which brings us to the ROI. Because being distrusted is expensive. And being trusted is very, very profitable.
Let's talk about the money, because I know some people listening hear trust and warmth, and they just think soft skills. They want to know how it impacts the bottom line.
The revenues and retention. Deloitte research talks about the more value for price consumer. People aren't just hunting for the absolute lowest price anymore. They're looking for total value. And trust is a huge part of that value.
And it connects back to what you said about service. The real money isn't just in the one-time sale.
It's a straight line. If I trust the buying process, I am exponentially more likely to come back to you for service for the next 5 years. I'll pay your price for an oil change instead of going to the discount place down the street.
So if I trust you, I'll pay that $189 for the fuel induction service. If I don't, I'm going to Jiffy Lube.
Or you're just not doing it at all. And the financing arms, the captive lenders, they act as trust retention engines. A good, fair financing experience keeps that customer locked into your ecosystem.
And the loyalty numbers are just wild. Nearly 90% of customers who say they highly trust a brand will buy from that brand again.
And get this, 62% will buy exclusively from that brand. They just stop shopping around entirely. Think of the marketing dollars you save when your customers take themselves off the market for you.
So let's pull all this together. We started with this really bleak number. 76% of people walking in the door expecting a fight. But if you flip it, that's actually a massive opportunity.
It's a huge arbitrage opportunity. In a market where trust is the scarcest resource, the business that figures out how to manufacture it wins.
So we've learned trust is biological. It's about lowering cortisol so your customer can actually think clearly. And it's cognitive. It's a shortcut for a tired brain.
And it's emotional. It's about leading with warmth before you prove you're competent.
Operationally, it means killing the scripts, proving your claims, and just simplifying the whole process.
And when you do all that, you're not really selling a car anymore. You're selling peace of mind. You're selling a reduction in anxiety. And people will always pay a premium for that.
Especially in an era of, product parity, a Honda and a Toyota, both fantastic cars. The product isn't the differentiator anymore.
Exactly. When the cars are all great, the vehicle is no longer the product. The trust is the product.
That's a really powerful way to think about it.
It makes you think about where all this is heading.
Oh, okay. What's the final thought?
Well, think about AI and the tools we're developing.
Yeah.
We're heading for a future where pricing information will be perfect, instant, and universal. Anyone will be able to find the absolute rock-bottom price on any car, anywhere, in a fraction of a second.
So transparency will just be the default. It'll be automated.
Exactly.
Right.
The math part of the transaction will be solved by machines. The competence side, the data, the specs, the pricing it, and AI can do that better than any human. So if AI completely solves for competence, what's left for the human to sell? Humanity. If technology removes all the friction from the information, then humanity might be the only premium feature left. The ability to look someone in the eye, understand their fear, and make them feel safe. An algorithm can't truly replicate that, at least not yet.
It's funny, we spend all this time and money trying to optimize everything with technology, and the ultimate killer app might just be being a decent human.
Being human. And being trustworthy. That might be the one thing that can never truly be commoditized.
That is a lot to chew on. For anyone in sales, really, in any business, thanks so much for breaking all this down for us.
My pleasure.
And to you listening, thanks for trusting us with your time. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.